Greetings, fellow gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
I'm Count Jackula.
And today we're going to talk about Bone Lake, directed by Mercedes Bryce Morgan. Bone Lake is a movie about a couple who book a lake house for the weekend, only to discover that the lake house has been double booked, and now they must share that house with another couple that are very weird, off-putting, and oddly threatening.
One of the things I thought was strange about this movie is despite the fact that it's called Bone Lake, I wanted to keep calling it Boner Lake.
Which is, to be fair, is not far off from the movie's actual themes.
Yeah, there is some nudity in this movie, particularly in the beginning.
Yes, this movie you could rightly call a erotic thriller as much as it is a horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah, but the other thing about it is that there are no skeletons.
Okay, well, there are skeletons in some closets.
Just skeletons in closets.
Metaphorical skeletons.
Metaphorical skeletons, but not literal skeletons. I was kind of expecting it would be like Bone Lake and like weird shit happens and then skeletons come and rape people, you know?
Yeah, weirdly enough, there's no skeletons that pop up from the lake, even though there is a mention of the fact that there was a bunch of bodies dumped in the lake.
Yeah, which is why it's called Bone Lake.
The closest thing there is to that is at one point, one of the people while swimming touches a car that has obviously been dumped in the lake.
Yeah.
That's in the lake, and obviously the lake is shallow enough to where the car could be like right there. That's the closest you get to that. You don't actually see a skeleton, which is weird. That being said, I actually enjoyed this movie quite a lot.
Yeah, it's actually a good movie.
It's a lot of fun. It's a little bit slow in the middle, I would say, but the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie more than make up for the lull in the middle. And the lull in the middle is mainly when you're dealing with the more thriller part of the story, where you have one couple, Will and Sin. They're the ones that were the double booked couple. Our main characters are Sage and Diego. Will and Sin are obviously doing some manipulative shit for like the entirety of the second act of this movie.
Yeah, they got like villain energy going throughout this damn thing.
It's kind of like watching the movie Speak No Evil if Speak No Evil was less subtle.
Ooh, yeah.
Which is saying a lot because Speak No Evil is pretty in your face, but much like Speak No Evil, for the entirety of the second act of this movie, you're gonna find yourself, or at least I found myself, yelling at the screen. Will and Sin are so obviously evil serial killers.
Yes.
And the movie's not really hiding that fact, that you're wondering how the main characters aren't picking up on it and are still falling for their manipulative bullshit.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of like, why are you letting him get away with this? Why aren't you just running now?
Yes, much like Speak No Evil.
Yeah, just like Speak No Evil.
Just like Speak No Evil.
With even like less reason for them to be hanging around, with more reason for them to be leaving.
Well, the interesting thing about this movie is that they obviously have more reason to just leave if they want to.
Right.
But the reason why they're so susceptible to all the manipulation that's happening is because ultimately this is a movie about relationships.
Yes.
And their relationship is pretending to be fine. But it's not fine.
No.
Sage and Diego are clearly on the rocks, but neither of them have admitted it to themselves. She's obviously sexually frustrated. He's not pleasing her anymore. He is in denial about the fact that this novel that he's writing is this brilliant thing, and he's kind of convinced her to give up her dreams in pursuit of his dreams.
Yeah.
So she's become the primary breadwinner and is doing this editing job as opposed to the writing job she would prefer to be doing.
Right.
So that he can pursue his writing. And this is obviously a source of tension between them, but he doesn't realize it. He's an oblivious idiot when it comes to the emotional state of his wife. Well, not wife. They're not married yet, and that's part of the thing that's happening in this movie. And on her end, she is terrible at standing up for herself, and she keeps constantly bending over backwards instead of actually saying, no, this is what I need.
Yeah.
She's terrible at communicating her own needs, and he is terrible at listening, so it's a really terrible combination. So because of that, Will and Sin, this couple that seems to be a perfectly healthy, sexual, polyamorous couple, but also a little insane, are able to completely manipulate them the entire time very easily because they're both like in such denial that it's very easy for them to slip into denial about them too.
Yeah.
About these strangers they met that are clearly trying to break them apart. Sorry about that. Spilled some water on myself. And now I'm wet, like the writers of this movie clearly were when they were writing it, because there is a lot of sex and violence in this movie. Mainly in the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie, in the final act of the movie. The middle half of the movie is more sexual tension and like intrigue. Will and Sin trying to seduce these two to get them to cheat on each other. Implied sexuality as opposed to direct, like, actual nudity. But there is nudity in this movie. Do not get me wrong.
Don't get me wrong.
We're going to talk about it in the spoiler section because there's nudity in the opening scene, which is probably my favorite scene in this entire movie.
Yes.
But I don't want to spoil it for you yet until we get to the spoiler section because that opening scene hit me like a ton of bricks. It was fucking great. But yeah, this is a movie where I found myself yelling at the screen a lot, but by the end of the movie, I found myself cheering. I actually really enjoyed the journey of this movie. It's kind of like Speak No Evil. If Speak No Evil had the kind of like exciting finale you kind of wanted to happen in that movie, but you knew couldn't happen for the movie to still be the movie it was.
Also, this has a lot more comedic elements than fucking Speak No Evil did.
That's the other part of this movie. It's a lot lighter in tone. Now, that being said, there was an American remake of Speak No Evil that actually added that exciting finale thing. So there is that if you would prefer that, though this movie is still lighter in tone than that movie too. If you can't handle the kind of like emotional manipulation in movies like Speak No Evil, then this movie's probably going to be a hard watch for you. But no, this movie is way more fun than Speak No Evil. It's way more light than Speak No Evil, and it's way more satisfying by the end. Speak No Evil is intentionally unsatisfying.
Yeah. It's like, intentionally upsetting.
It's the feel-bad movie of the fucking century.
The sex thriller horror movie that I always go to when I think about these things for some reason is Dead Calm.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Dead Calm's a good one.
Yeah, Dead Calm's a good one because, like, I actually enjoy it, but, like, that is definitely a movie where you're like, we know that that's the killer, that's Billy Zane, you know?
So, Bone Lake, it is an erotic thriller horror film. It kind of reminds me of A Perfect Getaway. That movie...
That chick from the Resident Evil movies.
Yes, it's another one of those, like, serial killer vacation movies like that, but with a lot more sexuality than that movie had. The movie is currently available on various streaming platforms to rent or buy. Pick your poison and enjoy. And let's move on to the spoiler section so we can talk about all the dirty laundry that this movie has, so to speak, and the skeletons in this boner's closet.
Will and Sin are brother and sister.
Yes, that's the big twist of this movie. Them being serial killers is not really a twist. You kind of know that. Even though you don't see them kill anybody, they're the only two amongst the crowd you see in this movie, which is just 4 characters.
Yeah.
They're the only 2 who could possibly be the serial killers that you saw at the beginning of the movie.
And they definitely believe that incest is best when your sister says yes.
The real twist of the movie is when they're revealed to be brother and sister. They own the house, the lake house that was supposedly double booked. It wasn't double booked. They own the lake house. And they actually play this game periodically with other couples. They will have couples book the lake house, then they will double book it, and then they will put them through this whole game where they try to break them apart and try to seduce them and whatnot. And the whole point of the game is to show that their couples, their relationships, their
basic heterodox relationships
are just as toxic and bad as any other relationship, and that they have no room to judge their incestuous relationship. It's a psychotic motivation. It's absurd.
Yeah, it's an absurd motivation, but like, okay, all right, whatever, I'll buy it. You know.
But it does match the insanity of these 2 characters, so I definitely bought it. And plus, their performances really sell it.
Yeah.
They have like a Scream style, like, here's our motivation, like monologue.
Yes.
And they definitely are channeling a little bit Billy and Stu when they give that monologue. And
oh, yeah. Because like there's definitely we were curious, but who was actually gonna ask?
Yeah. You know? But yeah, that's the big twist of the movie. Some of the highlights of the movie for me would be the opening scene.
Yeah.
The opening scene
opens real strong.
It's a cold open. It's a naked couple running through the woods for their life, and arrows are being shot at them from somewhere off screen. And eventually the guy in the relationship lets go of his girlfriend, goes fuck this, and runs in the opposite direction of her, and then he gets shot by an arrow through his dick. And that's when it cuts to the credits, Bone Lake. And that was the moment where I'm like, okay, I don't care how bad the rest of this movie is. This movie is a masterpiece for this opening scene alone.
This scene is perfect.
This scene is perfect. And thankfully, the movie matched the tone of that, though it takes a while for it to get to the violent portion, when the couples are essentially in a violent fight for each other's lives.
Yeah.
One of them wants to kill the other, and the other has to defend themselves by killing the other. That's the way it goes. You get some chainsaw action, chase on a boat where someone's thrown into the fucking propellers of the boats. It's pretty nice. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
You know,
there's a nice big blood spray at the end.
Nice big blood spray.
And of course it ends with them like both on the boat like, we're gonna make it after all, but then all of a sudden it does a graduate on you. And they're just like, oh God.
Where do we go from here?
Yeah.
Diego and Sage kind of beat them at the game, but they decide to kill them anyway because they're crazy.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the movie, when they've kind of like, you know, recommitted to each other's love, like, you're right, my writing sucks, I should express my wants more, and they finally have that moment where they've kind of grown as characters, there is that moment where they're staring off into the fucking distance, dead-eyed, like, now what?
Wow, what? Yeah.
Is this gonna work out after this? Or are we gonna break up the moment the fucking, like, credits roll?
Or are we gonna go to jail?
That's true, because they mutilate this couple.
Yeah.
And it was a rich couple, too, so.
Yeah, so who knows how that's gonna
It's gonna be a he said, she said situation. There was only one moment where I was, like, really confused with the movie, and it was more my fault than anything else. There's a point in which one of the characters, Diego, is being seduced by Sin. And it cuts to Sin having sex, and I at first thought she was having sex with Diego, so I was a little confused when that scene turned out to be a weird flashback. But I realized, and this is completely on me, I actually didn't pay close attention to the face of the person she was fucking because I was staring at her boobs. That wasn't an editing problem for the movie. That was me not fucking paying attention. I enjoyed Bone Lake. It is 2 boners up from me. Where can they find you, Count Jackula?
You can find me here, right here, YouTube, where I stream at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time most weeknights.
Y'all know me, I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me at the Horror Guru on various social media platforms, but these days I primarily use Blue Sky, so follow me on there. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you'd like to help out either of us more directly, be sure to check out our Patreon pages. And remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way, but we will certainly accept more. And if you made it this far into the video, I want you to comment below. Be sure to comment below using the hashtag. I actually have 2 hashtags. One of them is Boner Lake for obvious reasons, so feel free to use that. But the other one is Arrow to the Head. And you know which head I'm talking about. That way the whole world knows that you know the gloriousness that is Bone Lake. An erotic thriller that opens up with a guy taking an arrow to the dick. 10 out of fucking 10. And with that said, my fellow gorehounds, peace out, and we'll catch y'all later.